Hi, Hannah. How's it going?
Good. We're making episode 3. I'm excited.
It's episode 3.
Episode 3.
Well, we talk a bit outside of the confines of this room in this podcast.
Right.
What we've been talking about lately is the parameters and the effects and the details around love in this industry. Do you care to share a bit about what we've talked about with?
I will. I will share what I think, and I can share some experiences I've been through myself.
Sure.
And, mine. that there's different kinds of love, and I would say 1% of someone who wants you or loves you is probably true. And it's not hard to get to that 1% when you're in the sex industry because you figure 1 out of 100, right? And then how many months is that or weeks or whatever, depending on your volume. But the working girls deserve love, true love from a man if they are doing this work. And at one time, I would say absolutely, it's a job. And he should understand. And so I've been married, and I didn't tell my first husband I did this at all. I got completely married,
Oh,
determined that day to just throw it out, let him provide and protect, and he just flipped the switch overnight and decided he wasn't going to work because he hadn't been working, and whatever I was
Ugh.
doing was fine because I told him I was doing home health care. And I would send him fishing. And so I was like, so what are we going to do for money? So after about 3 weeks of being married, I hung my head down low and put my sights back up and went back to work and stayed married until I caught him
oh, that's a switch.
with his first wife. And when I caught him, I might have gotten his face and told him he had nothing on me.
Oh,
But I considered that I wasn't cheating because it was no
you were
emotional.
working.
I was working and I was providing, and I was, in essence, taking a man's place. So, biblically, I see things differently now than I used to because I didn't know the Bible. And I thought I was a fixer. Let me put this together so it can work like this. And 50-50 partners, 100 partners, whatever it is, biblically, there's a design that I'm seeing now. And it used to be not with my grandparents. I had learned nothing of love from my grandparents, from my parents, nothing. So I didn't even know my grandparents, really. I met them a couple times. So I knew nothing of what other people saw growing up. And I feel like that would have shaped me differently because grandparents in general stayed married for 50, 70 years till one died and the other one died.
Yeah.
And that is because they went the biblical route. Grandma knew where she needed to be and grandpa knew where he needed to be, and they both worked their butts off, but they both had different powers of what they were doing. They were a partnership. And so I go back to those days whenever I look at it. So with me, my sister got married at 15, got out of the house, pregnant at 15, baby at 15. And then her second one at 19, and we lived half a mile from her. We didn't move far.
Yeah.
And then she was tragically killed.
Well, for you northerners in here, you people that don't, this is the South. 15 and 19 in the 80s is not.
This is in the 90s, but
in the 90s, but 15 is young, but it's not unheard of.
no,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
my sister married in a Hispanic culture, so
Yes.
especially in their culture.
Yes.
But my mother signed because my sister, she had something bad happen to her at the age of 13,
Yeah.
and she was not okay. And the only one that could calm her was this Hispanic gentleman. Now, she was already messing with him at 12, and he was 9 years older.
Yeah, that's bad.
Real bad.
That's bad.
But either way,
That-
13, and then he's
took a
22.
turn.
So they got married. Yeah, it took a turn. Imagine how I feel.
Right.
But then 15, and he's 24, and they get married. So she dies, and the babies are small, and they are grown adults now, almost 30 years later. And I play mother to them, and I love them just like if they were my own, in honor of her. So when I was 16 and that happened to her at 19, I went on my own. I was homeless. I just basically left because my mother was on pills. My father started drinking again. They split up. It was just a nightmare. And so I don't think I cared if I got pregnant or not, because that's just what you do. And if you get pregnant, well, he's going to love me. He's going to stay there. And so as I was homeless, I met a gentleman, and he offered to let me in his house. He was older as well. And I did. And, we messed around one night, and I was 18, and I got pregnant, and I had my son, and it was his only. And that wasn't really a relationship. It was more of a friendship. But while I was pregnant, I met this boy. He was 22. I was going somewhere else because I didn't want to stay with him. We weren't really together or getting along. And I remember getting an apartment. I worked for TDC at the time, so Texas Department of Criminal Justice. And I hated my job. It was so hot I worked in the dorms mostly because I was pregnant. But we had an apartment together for about 3 months, and I remember feeling so in love. And he was funny, spontaneous. He was 22. He was just the cutest thing I'd ever seen, and just could make me laugh like nobody's business. And so, well, that ended, and I had the baby, and I had to let go of my apartment I couldn't afford, and went back to the house to have the baby with my son's father. And of course, that didn't last long before I left, and I found myself alone as a mom, but it was okay. It was one kid, and then I had an incident with a broken condom, and that was a married man, and I was actually in love with him. I was in love, and left, because that's what always happens. You think, well, if he leaves his wife for me, he's not going to leave me. He is. So through hardships, I found myself with problems of defects, child services, whatever. And not that I was a bad mother. I was just maybe unstable, young. There's a lot of baggage. And I found myself on the streets. And I remember there was a pimp. I didn't know what a pimp was. I didn't know. I'm like so dumb to this stuff. But a friend of mine was smoking crack. So I'm like, give me some of that. She's like, no. But I did. And so that begun the street walking. And then you're going to have people that want you because you're young and you can do for them. So that was my first experience. And I guess this guy wanted the visual of having multiple women, and it wasn't okay with me. I was still very young at heart. Even him watching porn made me so jealous. I was very jealous of it. Can you imagine that? I didn't want to work. I felt like, why do you have me doing this? And then I found out he was messing around, and there was fights, and there was black eyes, there was pulling the gun, there was all this jealousy and stuff. And he ended up with, I don't know, carrying a gun or something, going away for like 6 months. So that was my first run-in with a pimp. And, but it was like, I don't think I had a full run-in with a pimp because he had all the other girls hidden, and they were picking out my outfits and my jewelry in secret. And they knew about me, but I didn't know about them.
Wow.
So once he was gone, I was out there by myself for a while, and I didn't run into any more pimps because I just thought I was unpimpable. That was just, who could deal with someone that screams at them and tells them, like, no, that's degrading. I felt all these things.
Strong-willed.
I very, very. And I didn't realize until I had a true pimp. And I have to tell you about that one. That one what takes the cake of anything that is a stigma that you ever thought. So years go by and I'm clean, sober. I get myself together. Years go by and I have, little boyfriends or such and such. I had to get the custody back of my kid and situate that. And I decided I was doing home health, and I decided, well, let me look in the yellow pages. I even told my patient, she gave me a dress to wear that was skin tight. She was like in her 70s. I said, I got to do a little something to make a little. I was thinking, how green I was, how wet behind the ears to think if I just make $200 a week more with my income, I think I can be okay. I took care of my father. I had rent. I had 2 car payments. Like, okay, just $800 a month. I'm good with that. 1,000 would be great. So I call this agency in the yellow pages, and I'm like, I'm trying to be a call girl. Little did I know they didn't call it that either in 2008. By then, the internet was starting, and I didn't know anything about it. But when I went, this lady had told me to go downtown, which was about an hour from my house. I was fully makeup, the heels, the dress, and the guy looked at me and said, "You're going to be mine." And I thought, what? What? So we go into his apartment. There's 2 ladies there, and he introduces a client to one of them. I go in the car with the other one, and he takes the other one, and he tells me, "I don't want you to do this. I want you to be with me and work and let these girls work." And I thought, power. It was, I was 22 years younger than this guy. And okay, well, he had it going on because he evidently had no problems, and he was pretty easygoing about the whole thing. And his partner, the lady who had answered, she didn't want to give me any calls. I said, "I'll just work," and he was supposed to drive me because she had got jealous that he picked me. And then she offered him, later on I found out, 10 or 20,000 to leave me alone. And he didn't. So we had a place together, and when the girls, he would get girls, and I was on the internet, and it's something that I would have rather worked myself. I do calls, and he's like, "Let them do it." He didn't want me to do calls.
Do you think he loved you?
There's different types of love, right?
Yeah, there's all sorts of different types of love.
I think that he understood the business because he had been in it for 25 years by then. He'd already ran thousands of girls. He was in the, he was in the big leagues. And so after about 4 years, the last girl got pregnant. And the mind games he played with me in those 4 years were not pimpish. You understand? I was never hit. I was driven everywhere. He would go to the store and get my supplies to work, or any supplies, anything. I had someone with me. It was almost like he created a need for me to need him. Yeah. Also, he was into witchcraft and throwing cards and these things that I do not do as a Christian.
Weird stuff. Yeah.
Weird stuff. And I didn't know anything about it. Yeah. I'm green. I'm from the country. I don't know anything about that stuff. So, where was I at? So, yeah, he, by the time that the last one, I just told him after 4 years, I said, by the time that his thing was, let me kick her out of the house. She'll be homeless and come back groveling. He loved that. And it would always be my fault. Even if I said something about his daughter who brought drugs into the house.
So he probably didn't love you.
I think it was more of a control issue.
Did you love him?
No.
Okay.
I thought I did at the beginning. I was infatuated because I thought he had power. I thought he had something. That he was giving it to me. He was sharing his power with me. And so it was just his way or the highway. And it was so narcissistic that there was nothing that I could really say that wouldn't trigger him, and I was out. So even this one girl came to pick me up, and he hated her. She came to pick me up, and I had a tote, those storage totes.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, I picked you up on the side of a curb with a bucket. Can you imagine? You're supposed to be better than this. You had a bucket with everything you have in it.
A bucket.
A bucket.
A bucket.
One time I had an anxiety attack, and he left me in an ambulance with no money, no nothing, and just crying.
Right.
There was, I can name numerous, but it was just so toxic.
Do you think in his own way he thought he loved you?
Yeah. He said that I was made for him.
Right.
I think in his own way.
It's a very chauvinistic way to look at it.
Wow. But I think he loved it when I groveled. Then he told me, you have got to get help because you're crazy or you can't come back home.
Right.
So then I go to the doctor with him and tell him I'm doing all this crazy stuff, but I'm not. I do have anxiety, but I mean,
yeah.
I am okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I wasn't because I was in a very toxic relationship with a pimp.
With a pimp.
But I
it's
didn't
gonna
know.
be toxic.
I didn't know it was a pimp. You
Yeah.
got to understand that I didn't know. I thought, okay, let me oblige him. So I don't know what all names they gave me because it was so fabricated that it was so fabricated just to make him happy. And so then he would use it against me. Well, you're not taking your meds. I wasn't going to take those meds because I didn't need them. But you're not taking your meds and you're crazy and this and this and this. So it was just this. And then his daughter and son moved in with 4 kids.
Mm-hmm.
And no, 5. So I stayed in my room and I was determined to get my body together, get myself together, regardless of what he said. So he had little say-so over me
Mm-hmm.
changing my outward appearance. And
That's not what you would think.
No, he
Yeah.
went with me across the borders. He went, I mean, a few times. And I mean, even getting my teeth done. I mean, everything just, he did do that. And I don't know why. And I still think why, if he could have kept me fat and ugly and unhappy and depressed, he let me become the beautiful swan.
Right.
So, but still I couldn't leave him. There was a pull. The keys were there. The freedom was there. There was a pull. So 3 years later, I remember I got an RV. And I thought, he can't kick me out now. This is in my name. Huh. And then I remember just waking up because it was a small little female RV. You could see the light of sunshine because I like to sleep in the dark. And I'd call him and, fuck you, I'm leaving you and blah, blah, blah. For what?
I have to bleep that word out. It's a Christian podcast.
Well, but this is also
it's gotta be authentic, yeah.
It's also the way it is.
Yeah,
and so he would leave me at least once a month. So, I mean, out of these 8.5 years, you're talking about 30 times.
Mm-hmm.
That was his control over me.
Right.
I don't understand it even to this day. So then I got a big double wide trailer, and I put it in my name. It was 3-bedroom. And I bought it with a little bit of cash. I had a client that would pay me ahead of time, and I found, well, maybe a sugar daddy, not really, but it was better than the other clients, and I would pay them back, and I never took advantage of anyone. But I got it, and of course he'd leave all the time, and then, even one time, I remember him kicking me out before the mobile home, and I had a tubal pregnancy. I mean, I was trying to have a baby with him. Mm-hmm. I guess I was still trying to get approval from him.
Right.
And the doctor told me no. He gave me a shot to kill it, to terminate the pregnancy. It was in my tube. And obviously something was wrong. I was still bleeding, and he kicked me out. And I went to a hotel, and after, from 2003, where I hadn't used drugs, to 2013, I got some cocaine, and I did it for 3 whole days.
Right.
I just I did it till my nose bled, and I gave it to a girl, and I just did that because I was so, then he comes and gets me. Okay, but these are the rules when you come back, and we've already have girls working. He had his daughter answering the phone. How toxic is that? And he would always compare his daughter to me, that she was better than me, until she got a prostitution charge. And then she was still not as, she didn't really do it. It was just this whole thing, mostly his daughter. I thought there was some kind of weird thing with him and his daughter. So strange. Yeah. So I go and I get the surgery, and I'm stapled across. I'm stapled because this tube has exploded and it could have killed me. Mm-hmm. And I'm calling him and calling him. They have me at the hospital in a wheelchair in the front. I'm calling and crying. They took me back to the room. They can't just stand there. 2 or 3 hours later, what the F? I was doing this. And you just wait till I answer the phone. I mean, I was literally a dog. And then we're walking out, and I'm like, but you were going to leave me here. I'll leave you here now in this parking lot still if you don't. It was just so horrible. I was never hit. Would it have been better? Hell yes.
Probably, yeah.
Because then I would have did like the first one and fought back. But this was not a known pimp. This was a person that people liked. They thought he took care of me. My gynecologist for 15 years, I remember that guy you were with. He was always with me whenever I'd go to the doctor. Mm-hmm. He was such a nice guy. He wasn't a nice guy. No. But even when he left me in the ambulance, he had told them, when I told them that we had to call the ambulance the night before on his daughter for having a drug overdose, he says, excuse me, I would take care of this lady. I will pay her bills. I would do everything, but I don't want anything else to do with her. That's when he left me in the ambulance. And they believed him. It was so vile that people would... I don't know why he did that to me, but there was this day. It was in 2016, and his daughter and his son all packed their stuff by the door, and there's 5 kids between them both. And I was in the room, and I was like, this is a game. This is a game. I was talking to myself. This is a game, and I'm not playing it again. This is a game. This has been 8.5 years too much. I can't stand him. He's, 60 years old. I'm early 30s. This is just not, I can't, I don't want to. God, please just help me I don't want to be with this monster. Right. And I remember them packing everything while I was supposed to have a reaction. That's what they were waiting for. And he came and sat on the bed and said, we need to talk. I said, no, you're packed. There's a door. You're already packed. There's nothing to say. And I felt the pull. And I felt the pull. The pull didn't leave. It was hard. Right. I even had like this toxic friendship with another working girl that hated me and wanted this boyfriend that I had that did not know I was a sex worker because I didn't tell him. And she wanted him. And when I tell you, she put me through the ringer for 6 months and told him, and she did all this. But let me tell you what saved me. The boy that I had at my younger age, I met him again. Mm-hmm. And the love was still there. He was the first boy I loved. And he was married. And I talked to him and I tried to, but it was still my toxic mind. It really was true love to me, I thought. I don't think it was to him. He says still, but I believe true love saved me from whatever sorcery, whatever this brainwashing was. I believe true love saved me from it, even if it wasn't both-sided, even if it was only one-sided, because I forgot about everybody.
Right, it broke that pull.
Oh man, there was nothing that could get me away from the love of my life. Right. There was nothing, and so yeah, I got him, and I made him better. Like I said, I made him get divorced, and he's remarried to her now. But I didn't want him to know. I kept him off of any social media.
So you hid your profession from him as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't present myself that way, so I didn't feel like it should be held against me if this is what I'm doing and this is giving us a better life. Yeah. Although I wasn't into saving and entrepreneurship, I was into, I don't have to scrape up for a tank of gas.
Right.
In my younger years, I might have driven off with a tank or two of gas.
A tank or two.
Back then when you didn't have to go inside and pay first.
You might have fractured an occasional law.
It was like 10 or 11 bucks back then.
Well, yeah, I think gas. What it is now.
For a car. Yeah, no, it was nothing like it is now. But I've never stolen from a person, so
Right.
I don't believe in stealing. But I remember being in bad ways, and I don't believe there's happiness with stress of the lights getting turned off and with. So my toxic love life. Then let me tell you what happened. I'm mourning and grieving this person. He's gone. He can give a crap less about me. In fact, he blocked me and started another relationship, not with the ex-wife, but with someone else.
So this is the guy you had reconnected with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he blocked me when I couldn't block him.
Okay.
So it was about 1.5 years of depression.
Yeah.
I decided, watching the show Love After Lockup, let me find a pen pal. Why the hell not? Why not?
This can only end poorly. Let's go.
It can,
Yeah.
and very poorly. So I find one on the first page. I'm only looking for a piece of paper. I'm not looking for a person.
Right.
Because that's how I outlet things.
Right.
So I find someone to write, and I'm writing for like 15, 16 months. I told him, I'm never going to call you. I'm never going to give you, we're not going to have the phone call.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to have the meeting. You're a piece of paper. Well, I'm more than a piece of paper. I'd get a letter every week. He had to handwrite. And I emailed. So I got to sit down and pour all of my thoughts out to this person that was nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Got a letter back. Now they have tablets, but they didn't back then.
Yeah.
So by the time that he finally convinced me to do a video visit, which was like on your phone, face to face, on a tablet or whatever, they moved him that day. So I said, oh, well, I'll just go up there next week to the other place. And I did. And it was, he was like, why don't you, get this house? Because I was looking at buying a house. Because I told him about it. Because, this was my pen pal.
Right.
And when I get out, we'll just try. And then one thing led to another. And why don't we get married? We can fall in love later. I'm an escort. You're an inmate. Like, we could build each other up. Because we're both at the bottom. When you're an escort, you have to dig low. I don't care what anyone says. And I'm not saying inmates are the lowest. But I'm saying when there's nowhere else to go sometimes.
Right.
So I did that, and it was about 1.5 years. He kept on asking for money because evidently, me being a sex worker, I was a sugar mama and had money, and I was like 4 years older than him. But either way, I filed for divorce before he got out.
Wait, y'all got married while?
Yes, with guards around us.
That is, we're gonna have to come back to that in a later episode because
I told you, get married and then fall in love later. So I filed for divorce, but I didn't complete it. He got out, and I told him, this is your last chance.
Mm-hmm.
And within 9 weeks, just immediately, if I could do it, he could do it better. I saw the narcissism come back. Everything that I could do, he could do better. There was never any insults to my job. It was almost like if he enjoyed it. And I told him, stay away from my job. I would drive home, and let's eat dinner like a normal couple. I was trying to normalize this thing.
Right.
I was trying to normalize this thing till I found out that he was watching my OnlyFans with another drug addict while doing drugs together while they charged it to my card. So basically I paid for some other drug addict to watch me. And I realized you cannot combine these. So those are my love lives. And that was a couple of years ago. So I'm by myself, and I'm determined to be by myself in the sex industry until I'm done. That's the sex life I've had. Now ask me what the sex life or the love life I would like to have is, because I wasn't attracted to the guy. He got out of prison. I felt nothing for him. I wasn't attracted to him. Mm-hmm. I'd rather be with a client. I had nothing for, it just wasn't there. That thing. He was wearing the clothes I bought. He had a truck. He had, a good time out. He had a family already made because my family loved me enough to accept it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was so now I'm thinking nowadays that I'm I got myself together, and I lost some properties, and he was smoking meth with the people on my properties, holding up there while probation or parole told him to leave. And he was literally with the enemies. And it was just this horrible thing to where he had taught them how to spoof, and they changed my court date for eviction. So then I had to do it again. And it was a holiday. It was just this whole thing that he did that was just this nightmare
Right.
of, I wish I could take my help back.
Yeah.
I wish I could but now he's homeless, and he's from couch to pillar to this girl to that one to that. No one could stand him. He loves himself too much. You can't love him. So between the meth and the steroids and all that,
Steroids.
so when I went in and caught him crawling around on the floor, because that week I noticed he was moving a lot, and I kept telling him, you can't sit still in the car. And he was geeking on candy. Haha, this is watermelon. Like, he was geeking on candy. And I remember seeing him roll across the floor, and I thought, what the? So I started recording. And he was having this whole attack. And evidently he was on Adderall, marijuana, weed, meth, and then K2. He said he took that couple of final hits of K2, and he started just... I was videoing him. It's
Kratom?
synthetic. It's
Kratom.
synthetic.
Yeah.
I don't know what it
Yeah,
is.
it's kratom.
And I said, well, I can't touch you again. This is the most disturbing thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
So he begged me not to divorce him, and I made him drive me there, just like I did my first husband. We're driving there together. And, yeah, I just couldn't. I was glad to not be able to touch him, and to not have to not be... I didn't even want to. I was so happy it was just done that now I dream about my love life, because...
But you're 1 for 3 here. Well, we've talked about 3 different guys, and there's been 1 you loved and 2 you didn't.
Yeah.
That's
But the one I love was dumber than a box of rocks, and he needed help, and I'm a fixer.
Right. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I got his teeth fixed. I got him looking nice and shined him up. He's a country boy, more of a hillbilly. So
Yeah.
I loved, even after all those years, he could still make me laugh like that.
Mhm.
The same way that the condom broke and the guy that I loved, those 2 are the only 2 that have ever made me just...
Oh, 4
laugh.
guys. So you're 2 for 4. That's better. That's actually
Yeah, but those 2 are married. So there's that.
Yeah.
The 2 that I loved was the 2 that I wasn't supposed to ever have. And
Right.
shame on me, it came back to me.
Yeah.
I paid for that and then some. And I am, I've repented for that. God, that's worse than
Right.
anything I'm doing now but yeah, no, I did love the one that I had gotten pregnant by and and gave birth. I did, but he left me alone too.
Yeah.
And so now I'm going back to the biblical, like we were
Okay.
talking about.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
What was it our grandparents had? Not my grandparents, because shit with that. I may need to go up in the family tree some more if I can find it. What was it they had that we don't have? I told you, men don't walk up to women and tell them they're beautiful. Can you get their number? Unless it's just like some kind of Playboy kind of.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to call you the next day because they don't want to seem thirsty. They don't want to. There's no sincerity with the internet. So I want to love like Johnny and June, like everybody says. I want that American.
Johnny and June, they were plenty toxic.
Oh, they were toxic.
Yeah, they were toxic.
But you know what? They got older, and I'm older,
Right, they did
and
get
they
older.
got over it. So I'm older, and at my age now, my expectations are different.
Right.
But I have to be out of this industry.
Right.
I have to be. I can't wait till the day till I could just belong to one person. I said belong.
Yeah.
Because when you're married, the Father has you and gives your hand to your husband. You belong to him. In the Bible, your wife is your most cherished possession. You may honor and obey your husband. Doesn't mean there's not mutual respect. But I would love to be a traditional wife now. I would, at my age, if someone doesn't have their own house and a vehicle for me to drive, it just depends on the person. I'm not high maintenance, so If it's a guy that has a double wide and a acre, and that's, he makes 60, 70 grand a year and it's enough to keep things on and he's stable, I'm okay with that. If he makes, I would think that a good income for two people would be 100,000.
Well, it changes depending on
To-
the year.
yeah.
100,000 used to be well off. and
Oh,
it's not
100,000
anymore.
used to be rich.
Yeah.
But, I think that what I want could change depending on my love. If there's love there and he's willing to provide and protect, I need to be able to accept what he can provide instead of saying, "Oh, I need him to make 800,000 a year." He's got to make $1 million a year, 5 million a year.
Right.
That's just no. I'm looking for something a little more solid and real than that. But I would love to find someone that knows my past and would, because I've never been promiscuous. So there's a difference in promiscuity. Say it,
Promiscuity.
that one, and and a working girl. We'll get into that on another one.
Right.
That's a whole different book, show, whatever, and probably a lot of opinions on that. But I think that my ideal situation at this point in my life, it's just changed like day and night. I've changed. God has changed me. They say that he keeps you isolated and alone for a reason. I was just telling you about that. Like, when you're one of his chosen ones, he's going to keep you alone because there's something that you need to do for him. When he has a husband, people say, "Well, you have all this body count, so your dating pool went from this to this." And I'm thinking, all I need is one.
Right.
So how big does my dating pool have to be for one?
All it takes is one.
So I don't do the internet thing. I don't do the, not to say that it would ever be against me, but I don't think I would be comfortable with it because of how people are misusing the internet to find love and some not and some different
Well,
things.
not for nothing, but right now, if you did meet somebody that you were interested, you couldn't be honest. with
Here's the
them.
thing. I wouldn't be with them.
Yeah.
There's only one way that I would. So I want to get myself secure enough to maintain myself. Not rich, but maintain. For myself, I could get I could lower my bills to make 50 grand a year and just take care of myself and just have something to drive. And that's maintaining.
Right.
It's not maintaining well. It's bologna sandwiches and ramen noodles, but it's maintaining.
I like ramen noodles.
I mean, I don't. Or if someone wanted me in this industry, my question would be, why are you looking on sex sites for women? Am I one of a kind, or is this just something you do?
Right.
You know.
Right. So them finding you would be a red flag.
It would be a horrible red
And
flag, but I'm not
you-
saying that God would not send that person in mysterious ways to say,
Right.
you know what, I can provide and protect, and I can offer ABC
Yeah.
to where, you can, because I want that biblical kind of traditional love. I don't see how meeting someone is as important as the relationship itself. But if you meet me that way, there's people that are literally, I met one guy, he was looking for a wife and he thought that he would find someone in this industry that would need a husband. And I just told him, I said, you're going to be surprised. Like, not everybody's like me. And he actually told me months later, he's like, you are so right. You are so correct. So I believe right now, out of this industry, I'd be the best wife ever. I believe right now I'd be the ride or die. I'd be the passenger seat princess. I love a country boy. I believe I would give all the respect, but I'm also different because if I don't laugh, I get bored.
Right.
Then I'm out of there. I'm
Right.
just out of there. I gotta have someone I'm attracted to because there could be someone that treats you great, but there's no appeal between you both.
Right.
So then I don't know how that works with couples that's been together 30 years and they do nothing because I've never made it that far or seen it in my family anywhere. that's those old loves of what I never experienced. I was very, I guess, closed off as a kid, just not seeing a lot and not even paying attention. It was just me and my sister, so I paid attention to her. And of course, you see, we just make babies at young ages. And
Right.
so I think I have laid down a foundation to where when something is there enough for me to, if I could go to the Circle K right now and be a cashier and maintain, I would.
Yeah.
Oh, I would. 1,000%. Walmart greeter, you name it.
Right.
But with the way that things are right now, maybe I will figure something out with my candle business, maybe stockpile a little bit. I don't know, but I feel like this is my year, but I don't know, but I would love to look for love and for God. I think that God would just send it when it's time.
Right.
And if forcing something and he's not going to send you someone else's husband.
No.
He's not going to send you someone that belittles you, someone in prison. Not to say that people with a past aren't, if it's far enough behind them, I don't care. Because look at Dog the Bounty Hunter. He was arrested in the 70s and did 3 years, and he made like this badass bounty hunter, and I believe he was really good to Beth before she died, and he loved her.
Weird looking dude, though. Weird looking dude.
Oh, I don't want someone who looks like that. I'm just saying, like, look at the person
Yeah.
that still had some oomph in him, still had that kind of, he was a bad boy with a good heart. But I don't know. Do the good guys finish last? I don't know. I know that I'm not a cheater. I'm not promiscuous. I know I have a lot to offer, and we'll just see what the future holds. But I believe it's coming soon. And I'm just, it gets lonely. It gets, someone told me one time, this is why they call it the lonely profession. This one girl said, I dated this guy because, he understood it was a job. But how he reminded me with jokes here and there. So, there's no, there's the want for love. There's someone that I told you about that wants love. And then I'm like, well, this is what's happening here. You're just kind of being used. And so there's no real love from a pimp. Someone wants you. They want something that they can get for free because other people are paying. It's kind of like they're chasing it. It's kind of like a high for them.
Right.
They're feeding off that pat on the back that they got for getting what other people can't. So there's I'd say 1 out of 100 for a working girl to find someone. And I believe that there are clients that can fall in love. But on the surface where you started, it's not stable.
No.
It's not stable.
Well, quick question to end on.
Okay. I know I run on.
This is kind of a funny question.
Oh no.
So, if you had to pick a celebrity for that man you're looking for to look like, what celebrity would it be?
That's not even fair.
It's not fair?
It's so not fair because I'm picking Channing Tatum all the way.
Channing Tatum?
Uh,
Yeah, okay. You picked
I
the
mean, but I guess some people find this thing about Billy Bob Thornton. I just don't.
I love Billy Bob Thornton. Landman's a great show.
I love him, but I don't want to love on him.
You can do worse than Billy Bob. Come on.
I just love a country boy. I love an ordinary guy. I love someone that don't know they're good looking. I love someone that's funny. I love someone that's spontaneous. But that's the problem.
Yeah,
That's a
Channing
pretty
knows
boy.
he's
That's a
good
playboy.
looking.
That's a pretty boy. That's a playboy. But I also saw how much he loved his wife when he was married. And I don't know if there was any infidelities or what happened with that.
Who knows?
Very true. Who knows? But I think that I just want someone that I just can't be with someone that's not humble. Someone that's not humble can't be of God.
Right.
I don't think I'm the best looking woman in the world. I don't see that when I look in the mirror. I don't see it in pictures. I don't see it on people tell me, and it's great, but I don't see it.
Right. Yeah.
And I tell anyone I'm just a normal person. There's nothing special. The thing that makes me special is that God chose me for something. That's it.
Okay.
There's nothing, but I do believe that I would make a great wife now, where all those years I know I would not have. And I did get married secretly with doing this, and I got married to the inmate, so you know,
Yeah.
we're I've been in love twice in my life. In love. There's this saying that the third time you're in love, it takes the third one, you get three loves.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how true that is, but I'm waiting and I'm holding out because I believe that now is my time to understand my age and where I'm at. And while I still have some looks, I'd like for that person to look decent too.
Yeah.
Now, if he doesn't so much, but he treats me like a queen,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. Look back at Anna Nicole Smith. Let me tell you what she said on that stand when they asked her, "Why did you love your husband?" You know what she said?
Talking about the elderly husband.
Yeah,
Oh wow, what'd you say?
because he loved me.
Well, a lot of people don't believe her, but you know.
I do.
You do? Okay.
I do. Because when someone loves you, it's something that we don't get. Especially in this industry. She was in this industry. She was a dancer. I know some of her clients. She was also a sex worker.
Oh wow.
So so in this industry, it's so hard to have someone that genuinely loves you. That I believe this man loved her and she loved him back. There's no way that you could just not have feeling to someone that really just has feeling to you. Would I marry for money? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that God has someone for me to laugh with and for me to be with and for me to complete me.
Yeah. We'll see
But
what
I believe in the providing and protecting. And how can I honor and obey a man that I have to buy pants for or a shirt for or go to work and give him my paycheck or pay half the bills?
that would allow you to be in this profession while married to you. That's the thing, right?
Or even not. If I'm working and I'm paying 50% of the bills, then I'm half the man there.
Well, yeah, some people.
This
look
is
at that, right?
biblical. This is not my rules. This is in the book. It's not, there's a 50-50, but there's something for the man to provide, and monetary is on his side. Now we're in 2025, so maybe there's a different percentage now where it used to be 100% monetary over here, and she just stay home and take care of the kids. I can't have kids these days, so maybe there's 85-15, 80-20. I think that God is going to show me when it's my turn. But I think it's going to be my great love. Because I have suffered. I've went through some things. And I know what I'm worthy of now.
Mm-hmm.
I won't settle.
Third
There's
time's
no
a
way.
charm. Third time's a charm, right?
It is or it isn't. But I mean, maybe, what if third time doesn't come around because I'm just in love with God and people say I'm unapproachable and
Yeah.
all of these things. But I think that God has someone so special for me that he's gonna make me forget any pain that I've ever had.
Well, good.
And I can't wait till that day comes, because then they say the man who finds a wife finds favor in God. I can complete someone, but we're not supposed to be alone. That's why we have another person. God doesn't want us alone. That's why he created a woman to complete the man. But they just have different roles. And in this day and age, I went to a dance and you have to ask the men to dance. And it's just, you know what I'm saying? Like it's reversed a lot that I'm sure a lot of people can agree with. But mine is out there somewhere. He's probably blind and lost, and who knows.
We'll see.